Hello friends, welcome to Kavita's classroom. And after doing the market equilibrium, understanding how the changes in one of the forces impact the demand and supply, today's turn is to understand how the simultaneous change in demand as well as supply would impact the prices and quantity, which actually is closer to the real life situation. Because in real lives, we see demand as well as supply, both of them change together. Right. Before proceeding any further in this, I want you to be with me for some situation. Say two friends A and B are going for a run, right? So who would be winning? If I give you this question, who is going to win? Your supposed answer should be if A runs fast, he should be a winner. If B runs fast, he should be a winner. But if both of them are running at the same pace, there should be a tie. Both of them are winners, right? On a very similar note, if we have the situation of simultaneous change in demand as well as supply, you can never be telling what is going to be the impact unless and until you are clearly given which force is more actively working. Right. Let me give you this through this diagrammatical presentation, right? If we say demand, when we talk about changes in demand and supply, what all can be the probable possibilities, right? Demand and supply. Okay. Both can show an increase, both can show a decrease, one can increase, the other would decrease, and this can show decrease and this can show increase. So these are the four cases wherein we have to check what is going to be the impact on equilibrium price and quantity. So to understand, let's take two examples wherein both of them are showing the same change, and in one case we'll say one of them is rising and the other is falling. So let's pick it up randomly and say we are talking about this case when both of them are rising. Rising means it's going to be a rightward shift for demand as well as for supply. Now the main question is we have to show three cases here when the increase in demand is greater than increase in supply. This is my first situation, right? The second situation is when increase in demand is lesser than increase in supply. So this is going to be my second situation. And the third situation for me would be I would suppose that here the demand increase and supply increase have been equal. Right. So let's proceed. So how do we show which has gone increased more? So we would have increased, distance from the original curve. So how do we show it? The demand is showing increase with a more quantity. So we would show it this way that demand has shown increase. So it's a rightward shift and rightward shift with the, wide difference, right? And supply has also increased, but has shown a less increase. So I'll show it with a narrow strip. Means though it is rightward shifting, but the distance is less as compared to the previous original position. So where is the intersection of both the new curves? Both are intersecting here at this point. So this becomes my E dash. So what is the answer? You are able to see it clearly from the diagram, right? That in this case, the demand would be or the quantity would be increased and the price also would be increased. Understood. Now, the other case, if the demand is increasing and supply is also increasing, but supply is increasing more. So let us show it. Supply is increasing more. I'm showing a rightward shift of supply with a wider strip and a narrow strip of demand this way. So what is the result? This is D dash, right? So this intersection point becomes E dash. And where is it lying? It is showcasing, yes, a higher quantity, but a lower price. Right? And now the last case for this discussion is when demand and supply both are increasing to the same quantum. So when demand is shown this way, rightward shift, right? And supply also is increasing to the same tune, right? So what is going to be the result? Let us check. And you have to be very particular for this, that there is no change in price. The price remains same. E dash lies on the same previous price, but yes, the quantity is increased. This gives me an opportunity of some analysis here with you. The situation was the increase in demand as well as supply. So inevitably the quantity would be increased because demand is also more and supply is also more. So in all the three cases, you see the quantity has resultant quantity is increased rightwards. It is showcased in all the three diagrams. But the point is, in it's very uncertain whether the price would be rising or falling. It all depends upon how much the things, you know, just check from the diagram that if there is increase in demand, right, and exactly the same is adjusted by the supply, so there is no point of increase in supply. The things have been balanced. Hence, in this last case, the price remains the same. Right. Now let's understand this first case where demand increase. This is, these are two forces of demand and supply. Demand is here and supply is here. If demand is here and supply is increased but to this tone, still there is a deficit. Demand is still up. Supply is increased but demand is still up. So wherever there is a shortage case, it's a case of shortage because supply has adjusted but not to that tune. So the prices have shown uprise, right? But when demand increases lesser than the increase in supply, it means it is excess situation, right? So this is extra, it is surplus. So surplus situation always results into fall in the prices. I hope these three diagrams are very much clear, and whenever these are given in question form, it can be a straight question of clear indication, show with the help of diagram, demand and supply increase both, right? It can be asked from answer to question like how would you show that with a rise in supply and demand, the quantity always rises. So you see the answer is quantity is always rising. So you have to give these three diagrams, right? You can be given a question like how will you show that when demand increases and supply also increases, price may or may not increase. So again, from this situation also you're required to give these three diagrams. Now let's take another case where these three cases are there, but we are having the opposite changes. Say demand is increasing. The question now is demand is increasing and supply is falling. So for this again, we have three subparts to it. And what are they? Let us write that demand increase is more than fall in the supply. This is my case 1. Demand increase is lesser than fall in supply. This is case 2. And demand increase is equal to fall in the supply. This is case 3. So how would we do the justice? We have the basic structures created for us. So increase means the rightward shift and decrease means the leftward shift. So demand is to be increased, its rightward shift. And supply is to be reduced. So this is leftward shift, right? So how would it be? Now, the increase in demand is more in quantum and decrease in supply is less in quantum. So I'm showing a lesser value here, right? And more for demand. So what is the result? Result is this. So this will result into increase in the quantity, but and at the same time increase in the price. Okay. Now, decrease in demand. No, increase in demand with a lesser value. I'm just showing this increase, right? And fall in supply is more. So supply is showcased with more volume. So this is it. My new equilibrium point, this was E dash and here it is E dash. So what is the result? The result is here the quantity has fallen and the price has increased. Okay? And now the last situation is when both of them are changing in the same quantity. So how would it happen? Demand has increased, so it's to be rightward shifted, right? So this is D dash. And supply has reduced, but the quantity is the same. So I'll show almost the same supply, right? So what is the result? Result is there is no change in the quantity. Okay, this is my E dash and this is my price. So price has gone up and quantity has showcased no change. So this question, let's analyze now. What is the situation? Demand is up. These are the two forces. Demand is up and the supply is down. Oh my God, this is a clear situation of shortage. Shortage would always lead to increase in the price. So we see that in all the three cases, the prices are increased, right? But the point is, now, it all depends whether the quantity would be increased, would be decreased, and would remain the same in all the three different cases. But one inevitable answer is because of this shortage, the price would show a rise. So, this way, the question can be directly asked with respect to rise and fall in the demand and supply, or with respect to the quantities, or with respect to the price. I hope you're clear about these diagrams. If you have any doubts, your queries are always welcome. See you for the continued segment of this chapter. Bye-bye.